Welcome to Smart in the City, the Babel podcast where we bring together top actors in the smart city arena, sparking dialogues and interactions around the stakeholders and themes most prevalent for today's citizens and tomorrow's generations. I am your host, Tamlin Shimizu, and I hope you will enjoy this episode and gain knowledge and connections to accelerate the change for a better urban life. Smart in the City is brought to you by Babel Smart Cities. We enable processes from research and strategy development to co-creation and implementation. To learn more about us, please visit the Babel platform at babel-smartcities.eu. So welcome to another episode of Smart in the City. I'm sitting in the beautiful city of Leuven in Belgium, situated just around 25 kilometers outside of Brussels. I know I say this a lot, but today is a very special episode. It is brought to you by the Spanish network of smart cities, RESI. Our Spanish followers might remember that from our episode in Spanish that we did, if you want to go listen to that one. And we are also supporting them in facilitating exchanges through the medium of the podcast between Spanish cities and other European cities. So this is actually the first occasion that our guests have met each other. So I'm really excited to have this conversation together with you on the podcast. And I'm very glad to introduce them to you today. So first, I would like to introduce you to our city host today, David Dessers. He's the Deputy Mayor of Mobility, Climate and Sustainability, Agriculture and Consumption for the city of Leuven, Belgium. Welcome onto the show, David.
Hello.
Nice to have you here, and thanks for welcoming us here.
Nice to have you here in Leuven. It's always a pleasure to meet people here in Leuven.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to later today getting to explore more of Leuven. We just came straight from the train station, so we haven't seen much, but it's beautiful view here. Also, by the way, outside of David's office. So wonderful. So his counterpart today in the episode is visiting Leuven for the first time, and I'm really thrilled to have him here. His name is Manuel Gonzalez. He's the Chief Information Officer for the city of Sant Feliu de Llobregat in Spain. Welcome, Manuel.
Thank you. Welcome too.
Thanks so much for you both coming on. So usually we get started with the podcast with a little bit of a teaser question to get warmed up. And that question is, what do you think you both have in common? David?
Well, it's the first time that I meet Manuel, so it's not so easy to know what we have in common. I think what we have certainly in common is that it's an engagement for a city. In his case, the city Sant Feliu. I'm sorry, I'm still learning it a little bit. And in my case, it's the city of Leuven. And I think that's already something we have certainly in common. But I'm very curious to hear what is going on in the city of Manuel. And maybe we have much more in common than we think.
I think you might, but we'll get to that. So, Manuel, what do you think you two have in common?
I have to think about it. And it's not easy. I suppose we have two main topics we have in common. One, we both need to face similar challenges. Increasing population, new crises, such as the coronavirus, the war, we have here the climate change. Nowadays, the complexity of the reality goes beyond human comprehension because we need to use intelligent tools. I think is the most important thing and can help us to face these new challenges and successfully build resilient and sustainable communities. I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll dig into that a little bit more coming up. So first, I would love to give the guests a little bit of your background story onto who you are, really. So David, maybe you can tell us a bit about your personal background, what led you to work for the city of Leuven.
Yeah, I became active in politics in 2012. But before, I was already very active on societal topics, especially climate change. So I have a background as a climate activist, organized, for example, together with many other people, the first climate demonstration in Belgium in 2006. We also in 2009 organized a train towards the summit of Copenhagen, the climate summit of Copenhagen. 1,000 Belgians went to Copenhagen with that train to demonstrate and put pressure on that summit. But that summit was a disappointment. At that time, Barack Obama was the elected president in the United States, and so the hopes were high that Copenhagen would deliver a climate treaty, but it didn't happen, and so we were all a little bit disappointed. And then we were thinking like, okay, if it's not working on that level, then maybe cities can already take their responsibility and do their part of the job. So instead of hoping of change from above, we were turning it upside down and saying like change can also come from below. And that was for me a reason to become active in local politics, first as a city councillor between 2012 and 2018, and since 2019 as deputy mayor here of the city. And of course, it's one of the reasons why Leuven has such an ambitious climate policy also today. That's a little bit the story.
That's a great story, actually, coming really from this bottom-up approach. And I imagine that really brings you further in politics as well, having that experience beforehand. So thanks for sharing. Maybe, Manuel, can you give us a little bit of your backstory? Where do you come from? How did you end up where you are?
I started working in town hall when the role of public administration was very reduced to few areas, albeit in Spain. Over past decades, public administration role has been increasing and reaching all the spheres of the everyday in life and the citizens. I find very gratifying being a part of it from my point of view, and that my work can contribute to making the life of people easier and be happier. From technological perspective, that's mine. It's been a personal challenge because when I started working, technology wasn't known in the public administration. It was only used for private companies, more or less. However, in the present, public administration has become a reference sector in the field and can use its influence to leading positions to boost and support other sectors. Now it's real. So they can also take advantage of the benefits of digital transformation. And in concrete, in Sant Feliu, this is very important, the history, we have always been concerned to provide a long-term open source solution that always been one step ahead, being prepared for the future challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So taking this very forward-thinking approach with your
fighting,
work.
Always fighting every day.
Okay, good to hear. It's also something you might have in common. So I have a question. If you can describe your city now, so that we give a little background of your cities. If you can describe your city in around 3 sentences, how would you describe it, David? Leuven.
Yeah, Leuven is a mid-sized city with 100,000 inhabitants, but also more than 50,000 students. And that makes that this rather small city is, in the same time, a very cosmopolitan and lively city. And maybe the third sentence is, it is a growing city. It is growing very, very fastly. So the population is growing, the university is growing, the jobs are growing, and that creates lots of challenges for our city.
Yeah, very good. I don't know how many sentences it was, but I accepted.
More than 3.
No, maybe. we can put some commas in there. Okay. It works. Good. Well, Manuel, can you describe Sant Feliu?
I will try in 3.
Okay.
First, Sant Feliu is solidary and welcoming. Historically, being a place where newcomers has been embraced and where the diversity of cultures live in a questionary way. Second, I think Sant Feliu is environmentally friendly, implementing projects in the field of renewable energy, sustainable consumption, and smart mobility, carrying out action to mitigate and adapt to climate change, protecting its natural space. And for my part, I think it's important too, Sant Feliu is innovate, promoting new types of economy, the orange and silver, and creating programs to support, advise, and incubate accelerating technology-based innovation projects. Have several examples we will see after that are very interesting for young people.
Yeah.
The talent, looking for the talent.
Absolutely. And I think it's also interesting to note your location is just 6 kilometers away from Barcelona, right? Mm-hmm. So that it has a lot of influence in the city, correct?
Very.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So
I would like to get a little bit more into the projects, initiatives going on in the cities. So, David, what do you think are the initiatives that are happening in Leuven that are most important for the city currently? What are you working on personally as well?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the main projects in our city is called Leuven 2030. That's the goal, to become a climate neutral city towards 2030. We know that that's a very hard job. It will be already good if we would be climate neutral towards 2050. But the European Commission selected 100 climate neutral as smart cities, as they call it. It's a European mission. And Leuven has been selected as one of these 100 European cities. And the European Commission expects that we make an acceleration of this climate transition. And so that makes that, again, the goal become 2030 to be climate neutral, which will be, of course, a very tough job. But maybe I can tell something about how we work on it, because that's a little bit, I would say, typical for our city. The key of what we are doing is collaboration. So we know that, for example, the local government cannot declare that Leuven will be climate neutral. We need the engagement of all the stakeholders in this city. And so we created an organization which is called Leuven 2030, in which citizens, civil society organizations, the university, the city itself, businesses, and also public institutions like the bus company, the energy company, they are all coming together in that organization, working together, inspiring each other in order to take steps forward. And especially the role of the university is key in it, because we are blessed with an enormous, good, qualitative university. And so there is so much expertise also on the technical level at that university. We have a company like IMEC, for example, which is world famous technology company. The fact that we can work together with all these smart people is an enormous advantage. And so we can only have success when we collaborate with the citywide stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. Manuel, how do you see it? Is there what initiatives are going on in Sant Feliu? Do you see any comparisons there?
I agree with him, because we have in common another question from the first question. We have the common 2030 agendas. Is very, very, very important. The digital agenda, the urban agenda, we have on the United Nations and the European Union agendas. My job is to make innovate from technological point of view. My job is to make innovate projects happen. In my department, we are dedicated to provide Sant Feliu with technological infrastructure such as Brain for IT. It's a product we have make it open source too. The town expert system, which enable the collection and exploitation data, as well as the intelligent operation and scalability of the smart city projects. Also, we are working to concrete examples you have answered to me. Could make the question. The deployment of the BIM strategy to manage buildings throughout their life cycle efficiently and effectively. Predictive models that anticipate the situation of vulnerability and digital gap and allow reactive and preventive action to municipal services. At the finish, another example is the creation of an operational coordination center to resilient and catastrophe unexpected, and we are making it.
Yeah, that's very nice. So, David, how has Leuven really embraced digital innovation then? Because we're talking to the Chief Information Officer really on this technological side. And I'm wondering if you know about any kind of innovation initiatives going on in Leuven. How is that supporting the sustainability efforts?
There is a lot of innovation going on in our city. Again, the university plays an important role in this. And we are also working together with the university and some other knowledge institutions in what we call the Leuven 2030 Urban Lab. And the Urban Lab is focused on specific innovative projects, also research projects, in order to match them with the needs of the city. And of course, we need all kind of technological solutions for in the politics that we are doing today. I give an example. In Leuven, there was developed it is a kind of citizen science application, a little computer, let's say, that is counting the traffic that is passing in front of a house. So you just put it at the window and it is counting the number of cars, the number of bicycles, the number of heavy traffic, but also the speed of this. So it is called in Dutch, it's called telraam. Now it's spreading all over the world. It's even in the United States. They started with telraam, and in English we call it we count. We count. But so we have hundreds of these apparatus in all kind of buildings in Leuven, and so it is a permanent source of information about what is going on in our city on the level of traffic. And so we can use this when we, for example, are making mobility plans for the city. Then we use all these data we can use to make plans. So it is the basis for making policy. And we are very proud that telraam, or WeCount, is developed by an organization here in Leuven because, as I said, it is all over Europe and even in the United States today. And the same goes for other topics. I think data is, sometimes they say, the new gold, but it is extremely important. For example, when you want to realize that climate transition, that transition towards a climate neutral future, the monitoring of it is a very complex thing. And also there, technology can help us and is helping us in order to know, are we effective? Are we having an impact with the measures we are taking? So we are absolutely open for all kinds of technological innovation that can help us in this transition we are doing.
I'm so glad you mentioned telraam also, David, because we're actually going to go visit them later today during our city visit too. So you will get to see it, see the technology in person as well later today.
What I see.
Yes, you could take notes, exactly. Good. What about you, Manuel? What innovations are happening in Sant Feliu?
But it's not easy to compare with work with Leuven. With our knowing Leuven innovation initiatives in depth, we know that in order to implement innovation, you need to provide your city of a technological infrastructure that allows to do so. From Sant Feliu, we work in development application in the cloud. Then we, in open source, managed infrastructure solution can be reused by any municipality such as Leuven to develop their own projects based on their own units. Then I think is the most important. What I can do, you can do too, and is what we do.
Yeah. Do you also work on this like open source kind of topic?
Yeah, that's very important. When we are working together with companies or organizations, we try as much as possible to have open data. Data can be open for everybody who's interested in it. Open source is absolutely an important thing. So no, that's something we're following. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And I like that you also, David, alluded to before how important collaboration is, because that's one of the goals of bringing you both here today as well, is seeing how we can exchange between Spanish, Belgium cities. I'm wondering if you can, David, maybe explain how do you think that there could be more cooperation between Spanish cities and Belgium cities? What do you hope also to gain from this exchange?
Well, I'm very curious about all the projects going on in the city of Manuel. Sant Feliu. Yeah, I learned it in the meantime. But no, I think cities can help each other a lot. Manuel said it already, and I think it's very important. We are all in front of the same challenges. We are all in front of the same problems, etc. And so we can also share solutions, good practices, things that work well. And it's such a huge thing we have to do. For example, on the technological level, we're experimenting today a lot with sustainable heat projects, for example, like geothermy, aquathermy, etc. We know that the potential is very big in our city, but we are only taking the first steps in it. So we are having new projects also on that level of renewable energy, etc. We're always interested in learning of other cities. What are they doing to make it work, etc. So I can imagine we can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Manuel? What do you hope to gain from this exchange?
Mm-hmm. This cooperation can be especially positive for these main reasons. I think there are three reasons. First, it will allow to us exchange knowledge and experience, improve the capacities, and learn from each other. We will also be able to share solutions that have proven to use in our municipalities. Also, makes stronger.
Mm-hmm.
By cooperating, we will be able to increase the roles we have at your disposal in order to accelerate and perfectionate the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, Sant Feliu is actively cooperating with national networks, such as RECI, these national networks of smart cities, intelligent cities, in the smart city projects and other areas. This cooperation Leuven Sant Feliu will open the access to other or our respective intra-state networks that will make possible that benefits of the transfer of the knowledge not only happen with the country, but also between the state members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's, I hope to gain also maybe a little bit from my perspective and why we brought you two together is, I think that the cooperation across countries it happens, right? You see it happening in all the networks and all of these things. But sometimes, in my experience, what this podcast has done in bringing people together on this one-on-one basis outside is just a little go deeper into some of the core issues and go deeper into the similar challenges. And also just getting new perspectives. So you come from, David, the political side of things. Maybe you're working more on this technological side of things, but bringing together these perspectives usually sometimes sparks new ideas also. So I'm hoping that this sparks some ideas between you two as well today. And we're going to go to a nice lunch and talk more also after this. So we'll inform everyone on what comes out of this. But good. So I want to dig deeper into some of like the use cases, projects, and success stories that you both have had, maybe to get to these new ideas. So Manuel, what do you consider to be maybe the biggest success story or milestone in your city's journey towards sustainability, smart city development? What do you think are these like core milestones?
Well, Sant Feliu implemented a strategy for digital transformation and a smart city. Sant Feliu 2020 strategy before the 2030, long time ago, a few years ago. Thanks to this implementation, 120 initiatives were tested and about 80 nowadays of them still active in the present. It's important. Many of the projects has been awarded and recognized a good practice and have served to reference for another municipalities. Some examples: the development of the city operating system, it's operating system of the smart city, is a good reference. The transparency portal is to the people, citizen goes to take information of our municipality transparent. The document management tool is, we say, the Data Matrix is a platform you have all the information in a document management, and you can make any application very easy, without make verticals to have to buy verticals. Being Rocket is the bank the policy I have explained before. And now for a new project, it's to change the 2020 stage. We have a local coin, a virtual local coin. Okay. It's the rose, like you have seen, we are the city of the rose. And it's an introduction of a digital coin that aims to boost local business to promote local trade. It is proposed as a measure to reactivate and revitalize the economy activity after the impact of the pandemic, where if some risks too. We know because people maybe they don't have devices or accessibility problems. It's not easy. It's a difficult project, but we think maybe a very good project.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very interesting. Doing anything similar, David, or
yeah, I'm looking more from a political perspective to things, but that's interesting. You have the more technical approach and the more political approach. Of course, when we're talking about this climate transition, mobility has a very specific place in this transition. Mobility is responsible for 25% of the CO2 emissions in our city. Mm-hmm. So we need to make the shift towards a sustainable mobility. We are trying to do that in all kinds of ways. For example, promoting bicycles, of course, promoting public transport. There, the challenge is to have more electrification. We're even thinking about maybe autonomous vehicles in our city. So we are taking the first steps. We're together with IMEC and others preparing a project for an autonomous shuttle going through our city. That's also very technical or technological challenging, let's say. We also build it more than 40 what we call Mobi points or e-hubs. And these are places where we have an offer of shared mobility modes like bicycles or cargo bikes, cars. It can be in combination with public transport, etc. And you can find them at certain locations to make them very accessible. But one of the challenges today is also to see how can we do these things in a socially just way, because that's also very important. And therefore, it's a concrete example that I want to give. We're working together with the technology enterprise IMEC, and we are developing a system which makes, because you need an app to use a shared mobility mode, mm-hmm. to make that people below a certain income category automatically, when they use the app, have another tarification of it. So, it is
a different price.
Another price to use it. Mm-hmm. And that makes that you can, a discount. So you can make it possible that people with low income, so more the people in precarious situations, can also use these vehicles, but pay less for it without anybody know it. So it is, and therefore we need a technological solution, and that we developed in the recent periods, and we want to apply it now. So technology can also help to organize things in a more social way. And this shared mobility plays more and more an important role. So how to make it accessible for everybody, that's one of the questions we are answering at the moment.
Yeah, very interesting. Are you worried that people will view it as not fair because it's giving people different prices?
Yeah, I'm worried about the fact that, for example, to say it very basically, that poor people has to go to stand in another line, a line for poor people or something like that. Yeah. And that would be very much embarrassing. We don't want dividing people, etc. So it is absolutely defendable, of course, that people with low income has a discount on the price. And so organizing that in a way that that it's just going in an automatic way, that it's going automatically. Therefore, we need technological applications. And that we developed in the recent period, and we will imply this now in the coming period.
Really interesting. I also, as a communication specialist, also see this really close tie between this technological solution and being able to communicate about this is super important, so that we don't see this division between these classes, right?
Exactly.
I love this tie between having a really good technological solution and being able to communicate it really well to citizens. So, wonderful. Manuel, I was wondering if you could talk about any challenges as well Do you have any ideas on what are the main challenges Sant Feliu is facing?
Well, uh, in Sant Feliu, I think for us it's very important the connection with national networks. We have a special sensibility, in particular to collaborate projects at national level, that we are part of different networks with different objectives. We have, I think we have three main parts: the smart territory, the citizen, and the digital administration. We are the three big parts. No? And these parts, in the smart on territory, in this part, we have, for example, the RECI, I have explained before, a network which we collaborate with smart city projects. And for example, the BIM strategy, we are making now a document to help other cities to deploy a BIM model in the city that we think they can do, and we can do the generation of digital twins. That is very important today for us. It's a very important project. And if you put in the middle, in the citizen, we think that there is innovation projects that are very, very, very important. We, speaking in the network I said before, we have the Red Impulso, that is a meeting forum for those cities council with the distinction of City of Science and Innovation. We have this distinction, and to see advantage of the definition and implementation of innovate local policies, among others. And in the third part, in the digital administration, we have another networks like the FEM. FEM is a Federation of Spanish Municipalities and Counties, which we cooperate with issues of innovation, transparency, social services, interpreting agenda, digital agendas. We have another challenges, very, very, very important. And we have also Catalonia administration government that help us with solution in digital administration, free solutions for the municipalities that are very, very important to finish the transformation of the digital administration.
Yeah, very good. So that must be a challenge coordinating between.
It allows Leuven to access this or connect with other networks. Maybe with all we are fans from innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. David, maybe you can allude to some main challenges that the city is facing. So, what isn't going very well? Maybe. It's the 2030s fast approaching, right? There must be a lot of challenges.
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges. As I said, the biggest challenge for us as a city is the fact that we are a fastly growing city, that there are some years there is an increase of 1,000 inhabitants in 1 year. So in the last 20 years, we welcomed more than 15,000 new inhabitants. And also this university is growing a lot. So more people, more students, and as I said, also more jobs. And that creates all kinds of challenges on the level of services, on the level of housing policy, on the level of mobility. We often say there is no problem that more than 1,000 people are coming each year. There is only a problem if they all come by car, because then we will. And so we need to make many shifts in order to be prepared and to be ready for having this growth and having this. It should stay livable for everyone. Yeah. And this creates lots of challenges. And I think technology can help us a lot. For example, it's just a small example, but one of the challenges is you have many students living in the same city as many inhabitants, families with children, etc., while they don't have the same rhythm of life, let's say. So, for example, in the city center, there's a lot of problem with noise during the night. On these main roads where there are many students during the night, we installed some microphones that are registering the noise that is produced, so that first of all, we know what is happening. We know how loud the noise is. We know at what hour it is. And with all this data we collected, we are now taking measures in order to try to have a solution for it. And we are doing it with, for example, nudging methods. For example, less light in the streets, or even projections of messages that you can do. And we see that we are getting results of it. If you have, for example, less light in the street, people are automatically being more silent, because it gives the idea like we're in the night. And so it's very interesting. It's also a smart city solution, I think. But, before we just said, okay, we send some policemen, and then the problem will be solved until the next day, and then it starts again. So we are now, with all this information, with these microphones we installed, etc., trying to have solutions more in a structural way, because many people living together in a relative small city, creates, of course, all kinds of challenges.
Absolutely. Information is power, and it gives
information is power. Yeah.
I'm agree. Sant Feliu has noise problem too.
Really?
We have big roads and train, and it's a big problem. We have monitorized this noise, and then you have to take decision from this information. We have a lot of information.
Yeah.
And then we have to take decisions.
Yeah.
It's the important thing.
And the starting point very often is objectivation, knowing what is going on, because, people can also subjectively experience some problems, but then, you should be sure about what is happening exactly. For example, the speed of traffic in a street. It happens very often that people are saying like, cars are driving too fast in my street. It's the speed is much too high, etc. And then when you start measuring it, you see that it's not true. That the absolute vast majority of the cars is not riding too fast. But therefore you need to measure it, and then you know it. And then if you know, okay, there is a real problem, then you can take measures, etc. But in that sense, information indeed is the having good, correct data is the start for finding solutions, or just seeing that the problem is not as big as we thought.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, perfect. I do want to give you a minute as an open floor, like I like to give, in case we didn't get the chance yet to talk about anything that you're very passionate about, anything that we didn't touch on yet. You don't have to take the open floor, but I always give it as an option. David, have anything in mind that you didn't get the chance to talk about today?
We were talking about technology, but maybe I just want to stress that technology is very much important. But technology is not everything. Technological tools can be part of a solution, but should always fit in a broader approach, I think. For example, when I was talking about the shared mobility modes and how we try in a technological way, making them more accessible for low-income people, people with low income, then we see that there is a technological solutions, but there are also other obstacles for people for using, for example, an electric cargo bike. And the obstacle can also be, I cannot drive, I cannot ride with this bike, I never learned it. Or the obstacle can be, I don't understand the language. Or the obstacle can be, I don't know how to use an app to open and so it should be a combination of technological tools at the one hand, and at the other hand, also other actions you can take. For example, assisting people, learning people. We have a bicycle school, cyclist school, especially for adult people who didn't learn to ride a bike. That can be, for example, refugees, international students, but also just ordinary people from Leuven. Not everybody learned to ride a bike, and as an adult, it is sometimes difficult to learn these skills. And so we created a school where people can learn it, because that can be, also a very stupid obstacle. And so I think that's more the holistic approach we need. the approach of, at the one hand, technological solutions and technological tools, very important, and at the other hand, also sometimes very low-tech solutions or just personal or social initiatives, etc., to take away obstacles. And together, it can be very strong, and it can deliver real solutions and success.
Yeah, absolutely. Manuel, did you have anything else that you wanted to add today?
Well, I think we have two big problems. One is a social problem, the digital gap. I think we have over the table, and the other is we must be resilient to any problem we have. Our cities,
resiliency.
We have to resolve these two big problems, and it's not so easy. Yeah? It's important to work in measures of our action that have prevented increasing this digital gap. In Sant Feliu, we test the pilot of predictive model, I have said before, of situation with the digital inclusion plan to fight against it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a predictive model, is what you're talking about?
It's a practical project.
A practical project.
We take measures with application. We have application with information, and we mix with another information with other databases, and we can take futures models.
Yeah.
Taking this actual information and other information with other places, and other databases, is with big data.
Yeah, with big data. Yeah, makes sense. Good. So that's it with the main interview part. Now we get to play a little bit into our segment. And this segment that we've chosen for you today is called Shout Out.
Shout out. Mention a person, an organization, or a city you think deserves more recognition in the field.
So maybe a unique, organization. You can call out a certain person that you think doesn't get enough recognition as well. So, Manuel, do you want to start?
Well, it's not easy too, because thinking in smart in the city is concrete. I have to remember one thing. 10 years ago, more or less, when everybody doesn't do anything about the cities, or few people, I would like to shout to the City Council of Barcelona. They developed a Sentilo. Sentilo is a platform, sensors that towards platforms that you can take information from IoT devices from the city. And they make possible with an open source solution. Many municipalities take this information that we haven't, and is a solution that we can work better. And this great project makes for us start working in the smart city area. This was the beginning, and it's clear example for how sharing knowledge and tools can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So Barcelona was really leading the way. In this.
The first model, and is wonderful. That was the first open source solution for all municipalities. If we began with this solution, afterward we build the intelligent. We haven't the brain variety I have explained before over this level of IoT, the information you take from the city and you put on the city, and then we develop the other parts. We make it over this based layer.
Layers over the layers. Yeah, it makes sense. Do you have a shout out, David?
Well, I'm also following closely what Barcelona did in the last years, like Manuel already said. I also went to a conference in Barcelona some years ago. It was the conference of the Fearless Cities. And I met quite many cities. Another city I know very well and I'm following and I think are doing great work is the City Council of Grenoble in France, for example, but also, for example, a city like Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And when we are talking more about technological applications, one of the interesting things I see there is the way they are trying to involve the population in making policies, doing participation projects, etc., and also doing it with the use of technological platforms. And so it was an inspiration for us to do that also here in Leuven. So we made a program, or we made a platform which is called Leuven Maak het mee. And for example, in the beginning of our the period when we started with the new local government, we organized as well in the streets as well online a whole consultation in which people could give input, ideas, proposals for the policy agreement that we were making at that moment. And so many people used that platform, did proposals, and many of these proposals we integrated in the program we want to realize in the coming period. And also people get info now. For example, you did this proposal. What is the status of it today? It is applied, it is realized, it's still in the planning, etc. And so I think in the network of the fearless cities, the interesting thing, certainly also in Barcelona, what I learned is that digital applications can also help us enormously in involving people with the politics we are doing. And so this was an important inspiration, I think, and we're still doing it. We recently, for example, we've made a new mobility plan for our biggest district out of the city center, which is called Kesselo. It's 30,000 inhabitants. It was also still a little bit in the COVID period. And so, again, we organized a digital platform in which they could not only give their ideas, but also, for example, on maps, put signs like, here is a dangerous point. And they could also experience a little bit with what is happening if you reorganize a street. What do you think is important? Is it space for cars, or do you want more green, or do you want separated bike lanes? But the space is limited, so each choice you make has consequences, and they could do it, on an online platform and see immediately the consequences of these choices. And so these applications, I think, are very important in politics today, and I learned that from other cities, like I already mentioned.
Yeah, a lot of learning going on between this, talking more with, finding out more about the use cases that other cities are implying. So, good. So we have one last question. It's a question we ask every single guest, and it's to you: what is a smart city? Manuel, you want to go first?
Well, in my opinion, the smart city itself is not the goal of we are working to achieve. Let's talk about smart social city instead.
Yeah.
Whose ultimate objective is to improve the quality of life of the citizen. To build smart social cities, we must place technology at the service of the people, like he explained before.
Yeah.
It's necessary to raise the limits of the smart cities and start talking about the smart societies, about cities adapted to their characteristics, because there is not equal smart cities or different, depends on the people, depends on the characteristics of the city. This is a model of urban development that integrates the city design, socioeconomic viability, and quality of life, see the balanced growing of this population.
Very good. And echoes a lot of what David was talking about before, right? This holistic approach. David, to add to that?
Mm-hmm. A smart city is a city, in my view, that prepares the future today. So a city that is not postponing or watching away from the problems, but is preparing the future. And we can talk a lot about climate change and the climate transition, etc. But in fact, what we are trying to reach is a city that is livable, nice to live in, a city that is affordable for people to live in, a city that is a healthy city, a prosperous city, a city with clean air, all these things. And so I think, that's the perspective we should draw. And I think a smart city is also a city that uses all the possible tools existing to reach these goals. And so, that's in my view a smart city. To be a smart city, I think you need also some smart people.
That's very true, and resourceful people. Probably.
Resourceful people, of course.
Absolutely. So with that, I want to thank you both for being wonderful guests today. I hope you enjoyed talking, and I'm excited to also see more of Leuven. Thank you so much, David, for welcoming us here today. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank to Leuven for inviting us for future possible collaborations.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it was a very nice talk. So thank you for this podcast, Tamlin, and thank you for the nice dialogue, Manuel.
Thank you.
And special thanks also to Resi to sponsor the trip of Manuel and make it possible that your delegation could come to Leuven. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
And to all of our listeners, don't forget you can always create a free account on babel-smartcities.eu to find out more about smart city projects, solutions, implementations, all these cool things happening. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you at the next stop on the journey to a better urban life.